All right, I think we're live. Mike's going to do a sound check, make sure the new AV situation is working all right. Good morning. We're broadcasting from Lime and Liberty Street. Liberty is appropriate on the 4th of July, just a few minutes before 11 o'clock. We got to cross the street. We're separated already. We cannot be separated, Lee.
I know.
Okay.
Traffic, dude.
Oh, traffic. Traffic is an important thing. Modern inconvenience of these horseless carriages.
I'm stopping traffic.
Okay. Now crossing Lime Street. We were walking this morning towards the George Ross Memorial here in beautiful Lancaster, Pennsylvania, on Ross Street, believe it or not. George Ross, you may or may not know, one of Lancaster's prominent citizens back in the early days of Pennsylvania as a colony, and a signer of the Declaration of Independence, which we are going to commemorate today by reading the Declaration at his memorial. I want to throw out there something. Ross was a prominent citizen. He was a lawyer, educated, came back and started practicing election. He was a crown prosecutor. That means he worked for the British monarchy. He was a loyalist, as they call that, a Tory in the time. And over the years of him, not just for a little bit, 12 years, he was a crown prosecutor. As he saw how the monarchy treated its people, he decided, no, this is not for me. I see where the colonists are coming from, and I need to side with them. So after working within the monarchy for 12 years, he switched over. Later elected to the Continental Congress 3 times. He served in the Continental Army during the Revolution. Good morning. Happy birthday, America. So Ross was, I shouldn't say influenced or malleable, but I'm going to go with malleable. He allowed the times and the situation around him to affect his beliefs. He wasn't dug into, nope, gotta be this way. It's always, it's the king or nothing. He realized that there were problems with the way that the monarchy was treating the colonists, and he changed his ways. Speaking of the way the monarchy was treating the colonists, that's what the Declaration's about. I just saw a reel earlier today where one of my favorite authors and content creators talked about complaints. America is a group of complainers. We're all Karens in a way, he said. And he's not wrong. If you look at the Declaration, you're going to hear it in just a few minutes. The Declaration is a litany of complaints. Things that the monarchy was doing that were wrong. They were mistreating their own people. They were supposed to be subjects of the king, and they were not being treated as such. This is why they had to declare and line by line list what those problems were, so that everyone understood. It wasn't like, we don't like this anymore, we're leaving. Boom. No, there were complaints, but they were legitimate complaints. And you know what? That's what America is all about. We should all be complaining because we want the best, right? We talk about America as number one. America, we are the best, we want the best. Well, dang straight, we all want that. All Americans should want that. And you know what happens when we see that not happening? We should be like the colonists. We should complain about it. We should rise up. We should bring up the problems. It's all Americans. We want all Americans to have the same rights, the same liberties, the same joys. We're all going to experience some of the same sorrows, but we're going to do it together. So this day is, 250 years in. The strange experiment is still going. And you know what? It's pretty darn cool. So I wish everyone out there, happy birthday, America. Happy birthday, my fellow Americans. And I'm hoping that you celebrate today, you celebrate each other, and that you enjoy the day. And definitely, good morning. Hello. Oh my God, we have a crowd here. I haven't seen this before. This is pretty awesome. Usually we have 3 times the people online as in person, so this is great. So, again, we are approaching the Ross Memorial. George Ross, signer, founder. Curtis went ahead with the bell, so it didn't drive Lisa completely crazy. Oh my God, look at this.
That's wonderful.
Curtis, did you do this?
I did not.
The glow up.
Look at this.
I love it.
I'm gonna turn this around so you can see what we're admiring. Look at this.
Some of your shade.
USA, happy birthday, America. This is pretty darn good. We've got a good number of people here live.
You got 2 people watching.
We've got 2 people watching. That's awesome.
Woo-woo! Rise up!
All right. Ed's watching from down in Outer Banks. Hello, Ed.
Hello, Ed.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for coming out.
Yay! Hi!
All right. So, Mike, you're my camera guy?
Mm-hmm.
Am I in frame?
Yeah.
All right. I need a just a splotch of water here. Because as I was saying on the way over, this document is a litany of complaints. They actually had a thing called the Lee Resolution. Not as many people have heard about that as they've heard about the Declaration. The Lee Resolution was passed in June, or actually considered in June. They say, hey, we really need to separate. We need to get out of here. And everyone there agreed, sure, we need to do that, but we need to have some documentation as to why we're doing this. So they waited until July the 2nd to sign the Lee Resolution 2 days before the Declaration was signed, famously, 4th of July, today. Happy birthday, America. They did it so early because they wanted to, like I said, clarify why we were leaving, why the colonists wanted to break apart from the king, the only leader they had known. And so they had a committee, 5 people, famously. Franklin was on there, Adams, Washington, who else was on there? Livingston and Samuels, I want to say. Sorry. The big 3 are, and obviously Thomas Jefferson as the main author. They wanted to clarify, so they took their time. In a hot Philadelphia summer, I think we can appreciate what that would feel like. They didn't have AC to sneak away into like we do. But enough preamble. We're going to get to the goods. In Congress, July 4th, 1776. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light or transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused to assent his laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time, after such dissolutions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept us among us in times of peace, standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation. For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for all of us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, destruction, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections among us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances for our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation, and hold them, as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace friends. We therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right, ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Happy birthday, America. Thank you, founders. Thank you, guys. All right, photo ops are $10 a pop. No, JK. Seriously, thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Very nice.
God bless America.
How long have you been doing?
Curtis, this is what? Are we done? Okay. Let me hit stop here.